A very good day to you, Dr. Jacob. Welcome to our group presentation. I'm GAN as well as the group leader for this group. Before we start our presentation, please allow me to introduce our group by saying a few words. Our groups have 5 speakers. Firstly, Darshana, followed by Eng Tong, and me myself. And we also have Abigail and also Weman Tehani. Presentation question consists of 2 parts. The first part is to explain whether we agree organ harvesting should be considered as a crime against humanity, and the second part will be to examine whether new laws are needed or existing laws are adequate to address the potential challenges in proving such a crime. The first part of the question will be presented by Darshana, Eng Tong, and me. Now, I shall pass to Darshana for the presentation.
Good day. My name is Darshana Damraj. Organ harvesting, the forcible removal of organs from individuals without consent, represents one of the most egregious violations of human dignity imaginable. It reduces human beings to mere commodities, stripping them of their autonomy and devaluing their very existence. Organ harvesting must unequivocally be recognized as a crime against humanity. Crimes against humanity are defined as widespread or systematic attacks directed against civilians involving acts such as murder, enslavement, torture, or persecution. Organ harvesting fits firmly within this definition. When carried out as part of a state policy or an organized operation, it becomes more than just isolated criminal behavior. It is a calculated, inhumane act targeting vulnerable populations for profit, power, or control. This practice not only violates basic human rights, but also strikes at the core principle of international law. The right to life, bodily integrity, and freedom from torture are cornerstones of human dignity enshrined in treaties such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Rome Statute. Organ harvesting desecrates these principles by tuning human bodies into tools for exploitation. Moreover, its devastating consequences extend beyond the victims. Families are left traumatized, communities are destabilized, and trust in governance and the rule of law erodes. By classifying organ harvesting as a crime against humanity, we send a powerful message. No individual or state is above accountability, and the exploitation of human lives for profit or power will not be tolerated. Recognizing organ harvesting as a crime against humanity is a step towards justice for victims, deterrence for perpetrators, and the protection of our shared human dignity. That's all from me. Thank you.
When organ harvesting was done systematically or on a large scale, it can be classified as a crime against humanity under international law. One of the key legal frameworks addressing this is the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, 1998. Article 7 defines crimes against humanity, including other inhuman acts that cause great suffering or serious harm to physical or mental health. Forced organ harvesting clearly falls under this definition when it targets the civilian as part of a widespread attack. For example, if organs are taken from the vulnerable groups like prisoner or trafficked individuals without their consent, it's not just a crime, it's a deliberate attack on human dignity and bodily integrity, making it punishable under international law. And moving on to the Nuremberg Charter 1945 also plays a significant role in understanding organ harvesting as a crime against humanity. After World War II, Nazi doctors were prosecuted for inhuman medical experiments and non-consensual procedures during the Nuremberg medical trials. These trials established that such acts violate the fundamental human rights, including the right to bodily autonomy. Although organ harvesting was not specifically mentioned, the principles of prohibiting non-consensual medical interventions directly apply today. Another important legal instrument is the Council of Europe Convention Against Trafficking in Human Organs 2015. This treaty clearly criminalizes organ removal without the donor's informed, voluntary, and specific consent, or in cases where the donor is exploited. The convention recognizes the global nature of organ trafficking and urged the countries to prosecute offenders to protect the victims. It emphasizes that organ harvesting is not just a violation of individual rights, but also a transnational issue that requiring the international collaboration. Organ harvesting is not just a legal issue. It's a grave abuse of human dignity and bodily autonomy. Addressing this practice need the international cooperation, strong laws, and accountability to protect the vulnerable people and bring justice to the victims.
The first example would be the Nazis' musculoskeletal experimentations on concentration camp prisoners during World War II. During World War II, the Nazi regime discovered soldiers suffer from various battlefield injuries, including life-threatening bacterial infections such as gas gangrene. Hence, the German army demanded solutions and thus recruited Schutzstaffel physicians from the SS Medical Corps to conduct 2 sets of musculoskeletal experiments. First, the SS researchers examined the efficacy of sulfanilamide on preventing and treating gas gangrene. Secondly, the second set of experiments were carried out to observe bone, muscle, and nerve regenerations and the possibility of bone and limb transplantation from one person to another. This involves the removal of organ or body parts such as bone and muscles without consensus and were prosecuted as crimes against humanity at the Nuremberg trials, setting a precedence for treating such acts as an international crime. The next example is the organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners in China. Falun Gong practitioners in China were subjected to live organ harvesting, resulting in the murder of them during the procurement process. From 2000 to 2005, an investigation has uncovered 41,500 unaccounted for organ transplants, and this was conducted by David Mathers and also David Kilgour, who are both Canadian attorneys and human rights activists. The transplants were not sourced from an identifiable persons, suggesting that the organs may have been obtained from prisoners of conscience. Eventually, the Independent Tribunal into Forced Organ Harvesting from Prisoners of Conscience in China in 2019 ruled that the Chinese government committed crimes against humanity by targeting minorities for organ harvesting, aiming to provide a resolution for victims' families. By looking at our discussion with authorities and also cases as an example, we agree that organ harvesting should be considered as a crime against humanity. And now, we shall also examine whether the new laws are needed or existing laws are adequate to address the potential challenges in proving such a crime. And this part will be presented by Abigail and also Women Tehani. Now, I shall pass the floor to them for the continuation of this presentation.
First and foremost, the legal addressing organ harvesting, including the key instruments. First, the UN Protocol Prevent, Suppress and Punishing Trafficking in Person, Palermo Protocol, identify the trafficking for the purpose of organ removal as a crime and mandate the state criminalize it, enhance cross-border collaboration and protect victims. Secondly, the World Health Organization Guiding Principle on Human Cells, Tissue and Organ Transplantation emphasize transparency, equitable access and prohibition of coercion and financial incentive. Similarly, the Declaration of Istanbul on Organ Trafficking and Transplant Tourism focus on preventing illicit organ trade while promoting ethical medical practices. Despite all this framework, enforcement often remain inconsistent due to the lack of uniform domestic implementation. The second slide, proving organ harvesting is fraught with challenges. The nature of these activities often involve unregulated facilities or forged medical records, making the collection of direct evidence nearly impossible. Victims such as those highlighted in report on forced organ harvesting in China may fear retaliation or be unaware of the exploitation leading to underreporting. Even this case brought to the light, legal systems face obstacle in distinguish between legal and illegal procedure due to the false documentation or cost concern.
Furthermore, the transnational aspect on organ trafficking as emphasized by the Council or Europe Convention Against Trafficking Human Organs 2015 complicates jurisdictional matters and robust international cooperation which is often lacking. In this slide, our existing legal framework provides a foundation for addressing this crime. The Palermo Protocol requires states to work together, prioritize victim protection, and strengthen legal enforcement mechanisms. The Rome Statute of the International Criminal Code offers an avenue for addressing the violation of human rights, although the organ harvesting cases have rarely been prosecuted under this provision. States with strong domestic laws aligned with the international standard, such as Spain and Israel, have made notable progress in curbing illicit organ trade. However, the inconsistency in adopting and implementing such measures globally creates gaps that predators exploit.
Thank you, women. Now I'll be presenting on whether new laws are needed or existing laws can be improved. The existing international legal framework, particularly under the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which is ICC, defines crimes against humanity as widespread or systematic attacks directed against civilian population. Organ harvesting, when conducted forcibly or as a part of a larger attack involving exploitation, could fall within this category. However, proving the crime and addressing jurisdictional issues remain significant challenges. Besides that, are new laws needed? While existing legal frameworks such as the Rome Statute and the Palermo Protocol on human trafficking cover aspects of human exploitation, they do not explicitly address forced organ harvesting as a specific crime. This legal gap poses significant challenges in prosecuting such act, particularly when they occurs as a part of a transnational criminal network or involve state-sponsored programs. The current laws also lack clarity on jurisdictional issue and the burden of proof required to establish organ harvesting as a crime against humanity. Therefore, new laws or amendments are necessary to provide specific definition and clear criminal classification, making it easier to prosecute offenders and protect victims. These changes would ensure stronger accountability, better international cooperation, and more effective prevention of this serious crime. Moving on the power of can existing laws be improved? Instead of introducing entirely new laws, existing laws can be strengthened to better address the issue of forced organ harvesting. For example, the Rome Statute could be amended to include organ harvesting as a distinct crime against humanity, providing clearer legal grounds for prosecution. Similarly, the Palermo Protocol on human trafficking could be expanded to cover organ trafficking in conflict zones or state-led organ harvesting. Additionally, national laws can be aligned with international framework to ensure stronger enforcement and cross-border cooperation in prosecuting offenders. Enhancing evidence gathering mechanism and providing protection for witnesses and victims would also improve the chances of successful prosecution. Thus, existing laws can be improved to fill current gaps and ensure justice for victims without the need for entirely new legislation. To sum up this part, existing laws provide a foundation for addressing human rights violation, but they are not fully equipped to address the unique challenges posed by the forced organ harvesting. While amendments to the Rome Statute and the Palermo Protocol could strengthen the legal framework, new laws are ultimately needed to specifically criminalize organ harvesting as a distinct crime. These new laws would provide clearer definition, ensure better prosecution, and enable stronger international cooperation to combat this crime effectively. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
By that, we will end our presentation here, and thank you for your kind attention.